Good morning, everyone. I think everybody's ready, so we'll get started. I'm Sharon Puckett with the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, and I want to thank all of you for coming here today to help spread our message we think is very important. It's a message about distracted driving, how dangerous it can be, and also that it can be deadly. And we're hoping our messages that are delivered by the school resource officers in the county, in the Williamson County High Schools, will help convince these students about the dangers of distracted driving. Carol?
As Sharon said, thanks so much for being here. I'm Carol Birdsong, Communication Director for Williamson County Schools. And today what we're going to do is you'll be able to hear from Dr. Mike Looney, our superintendent, Sheriff Long, Williamson County Sheriff, and we're going to share some video with you about the PSAs, public service announcements, that each SRO from each of our high schools worked with us to produce. Those messages, I believe you'll see from just the sample that you will see, are heartfelt. Each SRO has a story to tell, and we hope that because of that relationship that our SROs have with those high school students, that it makes a difference. The reason why we're here is because I think you all know of the tragedy that we've experienced in Williamson County Schools really over the past several years, losing students to traffic accidents. Dr. Looney gave our staff a charge last year to do what we could to help in the effort to curb distracted driving. So in the communications department, naturally, we like to produce videos. And as we were planning our summer work, this idea came about to have each SRO participate in a video that is tailored to his school. So that's what you're going to see today. As we began planning, we knew that it was bigger than our small communications department. And it truly took a large group of folks to make it happen. So I do want to recognize them, and some of them you can certainly ask questions of today as we proceed. Our Williamson County School Safety and Security Director, Mike Fletcher, was instrumental in making the videos happen. Captain Wainwright, also instrumental. He oversees all of the SROs. You all are certainly welcome to ask them questions as we go along. Just so you know, as you see, they were able to provide for us some wrecked vehicles, some smoke or a fog machine, I believe it was, actually to help really set the stage. Sharon was fabulous to work with. She was quite the coach for the SROs to help them get their message out. She provided water. It was a hot couple of days when they taped. And our SROs aren't that naturally comfortable in front of cameras. So I really just want to say thank you to all of them for their work in making this happen. Also to my team, Corey Mason, Rebecca Arnold, last but not least, Parker Morley, and Stephen Chesser, who is the brains behind all video that we do in Williamson County Schools. So over the next few weeks, we'll be sharing these videos in each of the schools. We have a high school media program. They'll be airing them through their announcements. They'll also be housed on our website. So without further ado, Superintendent Dr. Mike Looney.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. We all are in this common effort in Williamson County Schools and to increase safety of our young drivers. And I will tell you that nothing is harder as a school superintendent than to go to a funeral or to talk to a family that's lost a loved one. We care about our school family. And as a result of that, we convened a task force with the idea that we were going to be as proactive as possible to come up with out-of-the-box solutions to talk about this very important issue of distracted driving, to increase the driving safety of our students. And thankfully, we have some outstanding partners. My good friend Jeff Long, the sheriff of Williamson County Schools, is an advocate of public education and certainly has his eye on the ball as it relates to student safety. And so because of that, we were able to form a very unique partnership and do some public service announcements from the lens of the school resource officers who have really strong relationships with our high school students. So I hope that this message that is being delivered to our schools is received well. I very much hope that the parents that we serve, as well as the students we serve, take this measure and this effort to heart and put down those cell phones, quit fiddling with things in the car, not being distracted from other people in your vehicle, so that we get to and from school in a safe manner. With that being said, I want to introduce my good friend, Sheriff Jeff Long.
Good morning, everyone, and I want to say also what it is to have a relationship with the superintendent of schools like we do, and to be able to cooperate together and try to work on the safety of our students in our schools. We all went through the tragedy last year of the death of our students, and I think it affects every one of us. I know it certainly affects our personnel who work those accidents, and I know how much tragedy it was on the families, talking and singing to some of them. We appreciate the relationship with Dr. Looney and his staff, and especially Mike Fletcher, who is the Director of Safety and Security, who we work with on a daily basis, trying to make our schools safe. I think it's important that we work together and to address the issue of distracted driving. Last week, we had a press conference with the Governor's Highway Safety Office and our partners of law enforcement here in the community, where we committed ourselves over the Labor Day holiday to address the issue of distracted driving and also driving under the influence of alcohol. So we want to take that opportunity to also address it even further with our community and ask them to watch and put the cell phone down. You have plenty of opportunity later to make that call or receive that call or make that text or receive it. Please put the phone down until you park and are able to do so safely. I think it's also important that we stress about the importance of our school resource officers in our schools. Each one of these are interviewed on an individual basis when we select those personnel, and we place them in the schools according to what we think matches perfectly with that SRO. We know how much the SROs care about the students in the schools and about how much they want to help those students and the guidance they can give those students in the school. And I think these PSAs, thanks to Dr. Looney and Carol and the staff at the schools and Sharon, I think will show our students how much our SROs are willing to help them and to try to get their attention and to try to get them to just think about the results of distracted driving and what can happen if you are distracted during the operation of a motor vehicle. Take the time, put it down, make your call, make your text at a later time, and we'll all be safe on the highways. Again, thanks to each one of you for coming this morning.
If I can ask you to direct your attention to the big screen, we're going to share two videos. The first one that we're going to share is what we're just calling simply a mashup of clips from each of the SROs who participated in our tapings.
Hello, Independence Eagles.
Hey, Renaissance.
Hello, Raptors.
Hello, Summit Spartans.
Hey, Centennial.
Hey, Nonesville High School.
Hey, Page High School.
Hello, Bruins.
Hello, Fairview Yellow Jacket. I'm your SRO there at Franklin High School.
I want to talk to you about distracted driving.
So what is distracted driving?
Distracted driving is anything that takes your eyes off the roadway.
Whether that be texting and driving,
Adjusting your radio,
Snapchatting one of your friends,
Facebooking,
or having too many of your friends in your car.
There are too many teenagers losing their lives due to distracted driving.
One of the hardest parts of the job is to tell a family that their child is not coming home.
I wanted to share with you guys an experience I once had.
It was a head-on collision.
The vehicles collided.
I worked an accident involving a teenager, whose family I knew.
It turned out to be a teen driver who was texting while she was driving.
And I can still see that young girl's face lying on the ground with her legs almost completely severed.
He went off the roadway traveling at a high rate of speed and lost his life.
Sadly, the 3-year-old died at the scene.
So please
Don't
Don't drive distracted.
don't drive distracted.
I hope you're able to get a sense of the personality and the passion that our SROs have for this topic. The next video I want to show is the one that will be shared with Renaissance High School students, and Officer Jonathan Cooey is actually here today, so you will see him on the screen, and then if you have questions for him, he will be available during the Q&A.
Hey Renaissance, I'm Deputy Jonathan Cooey with the Williamson County Sheriff's Office. This year I want you to help me put a stop to distracted driving. Distracted driving is anything that will take your eyes off the roadway. I'll never forget having to tell a family that their child had been killed in a car wreck. And what made it even worse was knowing that it could have been prevented. Remember, I'll be watching, and there's nothing on your phone worth dying for.
So at this time, we have several folks available if you have questions for them. I don't believe I introduced Zannie Martin, who's the Director of Juvenile Services. She's here and actually has some facts and figures available. Again, Officer Jonathan Cooey, Mike Fletcher, who's our Director of Safety, Captain Wainwright, who oversees the SROs. I'll let you guys get back over here and get settled before we start. Sheriff Long. Okay, great. Come on up, Zannie. Zannie Martin, everybody.
Thank you. I'm Zannie Martin, Director of Juvenile Court here in Williamson County, and we too appreciate the partnerships with Williamson County Schools and our law enforcement partners in our efforts to keep our young people safe and equipped to make good decisions on the road. I did run some numbers just before I came over today, understanding the subject that we'd be talking about. I focused specifically on our traffic cases. So last year, between July 1st of 2016 and June 30th of 2017, juvenile court in Williamson County experienced about 533 new traffic cases that were filed by our law enforcement partners. And within those 533 cases, we also processed almost 700 offenses. So meaning that several of those citations included several traffic violations. We began a program in juvenile court this past year in partnership with the Tennessee Highway Safety Office to provide some education materials at the beginning of each of our traffic dockets. So when we see young people who in Williamson County are required to appear in traffic court with a parent on every single citation, we want to equip them with some information, and we utilize that opportunity, that captive audience, if you will, in traffic court to be able to share with them some information about making some better decisions. So that's some of the initiatives that we're taking in our court system. Any questions?
Can you tell me, I know you've had a couple of deaths in recent years from distracted driving. Do you have any numbers on that for the past year?
Did you want juvenile court to answer that or law enforcement?
Law enforcement.
Thanks.
Within the last 18 months, we've had 6 fatalities. So our approach, we have a 4-prong approach. One is to engage our parents in dialogue and discussions and activities related to distracted driving. 2, we have now started a required student distracted driving course in order for students to be permitted to park on school grounds. To my knowledge, we're the only school district in the state and perhaps even the nation that does that. Thirdly, we have partnered with the Sheriff's Department and the SROs in the schools to do public service announcements to keep this at the very forefront of our discussion. And then finally, we're working with the juvenile court system to do everything we can to make sure that we have the law behind us as we work forward on this issue.
Were all 6 of those fatalities, were they all under 18?
No. But all either current students or just recently students.
I see.
Do you find that the schools where these kids died, I mean, do you find that the kids are responding better when they, have someone they know or someone that they were friends with pass away? I mean, as a kid, usually, you don't really think of these things until something affects you.
Well, perhaps our SRO can speak to that more clearly. I will say that students learn from their parents and other role models, and so if moms and dads are using and texting and reading things on their cell phone as they're driving, then students are going to think it's okay, and that's why it's so important that we've engaged our parents in this discussion as well. You may very well want to be able to give a first-hand account of your experience at Renaissance.
I would say that after a fatality, someone dies, the kids know someone that died, those things weigh heavily on them for several months afterwards. But like everything else, after time, we get back into those bad habits. And so with these videos and other initiatives that we're taking, it's helping reinforce those and just keep those good habits going.
In the video, you described an incident, a traffic accident that you experienced. Can you go a little bit more in depth about that?
Yeah, it was years ago when I was on patrol. I was working in a traffic accident one night, and at the time it was just a senseless, the kid had reached down to change a CD in the car, and that was before cell phones. So the kid had reached down to change out a CD and was looking through a CD case and had run off the road and died in a rollover type accident.
Do y'all do the accidents where you come to a school and show the scenes like that here in Williamson County?
Sure.
Yes, in the past, Dr. Looney has been good to allow us to have assemblies in the schools where we had driving programs that we actually taught the whole population of the school. And we would come in and talk to them and show them some video about some of the past accidents and talk to them about safety. And, while we're talking about distracted driving, I also want to mention, and I thought one of you, matter of fact, made a good point a while ago, it's not just distracted driving by a cell phone. There's other ways to be distracted, carrying an animal in your arm, things like that while you're driving a car that can distract you away from paying attention to the highway. And that's what this is all about, is trying to get people to focus on the highway instead of being distracted with anything else taking their attention away.
Within the school systems, are y'all doing anything different to maybe hit on this? I mean, maybe classes, have teachers kind of implement this more into their study plans, or?
It's a great question. We plan on having this as an ongoing topic of discussion in our schools. And once again, beginning this year, all students that are new to our campus driving for the first time are required to go through this course in order to have the privilege of parking on campus. This course also requires a contract between the student and the parent, setting up some ground rules for the student to drive on campus.
What's the response been to that class that the kids have been taking?
Mike, do you have any stats on that you want to come forward and talk about?
I don't have the exact numbers on what we've got, but I'll tell you that I've heard a lot of good comments on it. I'll also tell you that a lot of parents that I've spoken to said it's not enough, and we know that, and that's why you're seeing a number of initiatives that the district is putting out to continue this conversation about distracted driving and driving safely in general. But it is gone exceedingly well across the district into high schools. It is something new, so change always brings a little bit of heartache, but it's going well, and we know that the information's getting out there because, like Dr. Linney said, it's bringing the parent and the student together to talk about specifics on the graduated driver's license, and then they sit and create the parameters between the parent and the student of which that student will operate that vehicle, when and where, how many people they'll have in their cars, and so forth. So we think it's a great conversation starter between those parents and the students.
When did you say this program began?
We started it this year.
So how many days, weeks, months? Yeah.
We began the process at the end of the last school year and then set the initiative up to begin this summer. And then each of the high schools took that and started hosting the classes throughout the summer and right up into the start of the school year.
Will SROs continue to be in the conversations about safe driving after the PSAs broadcast in schools?
You want to do it?
Yes, we recently had, with the schools, I met with all the administrators of each of the schools, and we encouraged them and their SROs to get together so that the SROs could get into the classroom. We realized that the academics, the learning time is important, but also we wanted our SROs to be able to get into that classroom and stress these safety issues that we're having with distracted driving. And we will continue to do that throughout the year. At any point that they need us to do that, our SROs are willing and able to get in there and do that with them.
Back to parents, just the importance of them. Can you kind of talk about just how important parents teaching their kids, and I guess leading by example, that texting and driving, distracted driving altogether is not good?
Well, certainly parents are a critical partner in this conversation. In fact, I would say that they are the most important partner in this conversation. From the school's perspective, our job is to support the parents and helping establish parameters and making sure that we reinforce those parameters while students are parking on school grounds. And so we consider it an integral and critical component of this process, which is why we chose the program that we did, the Checkpoints program, because it requires parent engagement in the process.
What's the future of this program moving forward? I know she just listed off some statistics on traffic stops and whatnot, but what do you hope to see from this, and how is this program going to evolve moving forward?
Well, this year we implemented all new drivers must have this training. So within 3 years, every single student driver on campuses will be required to go through this course. And we continue to plan on evolving the course and expanding it so that we no longer have to attend funerals, rather we can go to graduation ceremonies.
Have any other school districts reached out to y'all? I mean, asking how they can implement this in their school districts as well?
I have had several conversations with colleagues that have had similar challenges. I don't know of anybody else that's done it in the same manner that we've done it, where it's a requirement. There are other districts where students can do it, but it's not a requirement. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know a little bit about the specifics of the program, how long it takes?
Sure. It's a free course that we're offering through the school system. We have certified trainers in each of our high schools. It is a 1-hour course that students would need to sit through. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a ballpark of how many students still need to take the course?
Well, every student driver that's new to campus currently has taken the course.
Is it offered year-round?
Yes, sir. We will continue to offer it throughout the year at every one of our campuses. We've had dozens of courses over the summer. As we got closer to the beginning of school, they became more popular in number.
How hard is it to detach students from essentially what's become a lifeline and the mode of communication for them? I mean, it's not just in cars, it's in classrooms too, I'm sure.
Well, actually, in some ways, we have perhaps helped that, and that is because we allow students to bring their devices into school for learning purposes. The reality of it is this is just a message that we have to continue to reinforce daily, hourly in some cases, to our students, and lead by example. Once again, I cannot tell you or stress how important it is that students are learning from their parents and guardians and about their driving habits. And so we all as a community need to band together and simply put the phone down and focus on the road ahead and hands on 10 and 2, and I think we all can have fewer accidents.
Mr. Benet, talk from their peers, like if you're in a car with somebody and they start texting while driving, like hit them and be like, hey, come on, I can wait.
Well, peer pressure is a powerful thing, and so we know that the SROs have fantastic relationships with our students, so we predict that those types of conversations will happen kind of naturally.
That's in one of the PSAs. Yeah. That exact thing is in one of the PSAs. I'm glad you asked it. If you see that PSA, it's an officer telling other students to stop that person they're in the car with from driving and being distracted. Also, another way that we're reaching out too is we've been invited through the sheriff's office to speak to the students who attend the driver's education classes. And I know we've done 2 of those in Brentwood High School. Our traffic unit has talked to them about the fatality rate, about distracted driving, and I also personally have been to those classes. So we appreciate the schools allowing those classes to reach out to us also to be educated.
In addition to distracted driving or speeding and not wearing seatbelts also still a concern.
Those are always a concern, and one of the main loss of life is from not wearing seatbelts. We constantly urge our students and our public, we urge our public every day to wear a seatbelt and be safe in their driving.
Thank you all so much for helping us spread this message. Thank you all for being here